So hello and welcome to everyone. I am really pleased, really happy to see everyone here. It's always nice to have a full house. If you are willing and able, you can turn on your camera. You can share your body and mind with everyone in the fullest way possible. I am Bhante Warapanyo. I am a Buddhist monk and meditation teacher. I have been living as a Buddhist monk for 5 years and teaching meditation for 2 or 3 years. I have been practicing Buddhism and meditation for about 10 years, since I got my start when I was 20 years old by staying at a Zen Buddhist temple in New Mexico and staying for a 1-year intensive meditation program. And now I'm 30, so that's about 10 years ago. I'm currently live streaming from the Chua Phap Van Pagoda in Hanoi, Vietnam, and it is about 11:30 on August 25th. I am participating in currently the 3-month Vasa program, or 3-month Waso program, 3-month Rains Retreat program with my teacher and my group as national guests of the Vietnamese government and the society here, for us to come and stay for 3 months and to practice meditation continuously, to do good deeds, giving Dhamma talks. I am here as a participant and also as a teacher. And this is the Monk Life Community Sangha. So, community of practitioners that gather together on Discord to meditate together, to study the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, Ajahn Brahm, a lot of kind of Zen masters, sharing our experience individually and also listening to Bhante share his experience, which is what we can call me. For the modern people and for the Western people, we are very used to buying things, whether it's through Amazon or some other convenient way of purchasing an item, or believing in. We are also skillful to kind of purchase a character, believe in a character. So everyone knows America, Hollywood has the best movies, the best TV shows, the best actors. So we are quick and easy to buy something or to buy into someone or to be kind of entrenched or in a state of belief about some place, some time, someone, some story, some situation, right? With these movies and these TV shows and experiences that we have. Because of the modern conditions of a lot of suffering that goes along with consumerism and also being isolated, we have the recent COVID-19 pandemic that's kind of shown people all the suffering that goes along with being isolated and separated from community. And also this modern gold rush of consumerism and materialism, people are really suffering a lot. there is also the side of, for the first time ever, we're really starting to begin cultural exchange. We're really starting to begin societal exchange. Whereas in the past, when a new society was met, we colonized them, we enslaved them. Different people at different times were in different roles. But now, with modern progressive ideals, we're starting to have this cultural exchange be able to take place. And because of that, yogic traditions or meditation traditions coming from India or coming from Thailand or Myanmar or Buddhist countries are starting to connect with the Western people. And there is a new age of truth teachings, or a new age of meditation teachings, wisdom teachings, contemplative ways of looking at our reality, ourselves, our relationships, this life, our society. We are bringing in Eastern philosophy. For many people, this becomes another kind of consumerism. This becomes another kind of materialism. So we buy crystals, or we listen to very produced, very created, very contrived, guided meditations with, 555 hertz and angel talk and pineal glands and DMT and LSD, and it just never ends. This, we're trying to find that person who's communicating with Zorblox on Neptune, right? The one Zorblox who lives in the center of Neptune, and they're conveying his psychic wisdom to us. In different ways, we are kind of, looking for this. Something we can believe in, something that is chewable. And many of you may know that I do a lot of work online, and I use the app TikTok to host live streams and share with people, answer questions, share about my life and my experience. Sometimes I'm live on TikTok. It's almost like a live vlog. And I've also seen some of the other spiritualist live streamers there, people who get a lot of views and a lot of attention. And it's people who are for lack of a better way of saying, are putting on a performance, right? Putting on a display with this idea of healing you or purifying you or transmitting some kind of special energy to you. Okay, they like to do this. This is a big thing on TikTok that people love. I'll show everyone. Or hold a crystal, and I don't have any crystals, but okay. And people love this. People are very comfortable with this. People know how to use the power of believing in something or consuming something, feeling like they are getting something back from their attention. And this is usually in the material life, a normal person, right? You buy something, you eat it, you're tired, you go to sleep, you feel better. And so this also applies to the spiritual dimension, the spiritual teachings. We want to get something. We want to grasp something. We want to experience something. We want to be enlightened or to have special power, psychic power. We want to be, the special person. Because we have a culture and a society that's so successful and so skillful for this kind of consumerism and this culture of advertisement, right? If advertisements are very successful, what does that mean? It means that we are successful to consume advertisements. we are successful to be controlled by advertisements, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a big industry. We are successful, we are skillful to be um, confused by appearances or trapped by appearances or controlled by appearances. All right. We know how to use the power of it. We're comfortable to use the power of it. So we tend to go towards those places, those people, those experiences, those things that are digestible for us in the way where we are comfortable to be in that place because we have our power. We have our natural ability, our natural skill is there. From what I have experienced in my journey of going from someone who was deeply sick mentally and emotionally and psychologically and socially to someone who is, more on the opposite side of the spectrum now. Um, what I can say is that the greatest power and the greatest teaching that I have gotten from Buddhism or the spiritual world is the teaching to detach. So, what is your fixation point? What is your attachment point? What is your grasping point? What is your belief point? The lock is the key to opening the door. The lock is the key to unlocking the lock. The lock is essential to unlocking the lock. So, what is your attachment point? What is your attention point? What is your belief point? What is your story point right now? Now, this kind of fundamental question is a strong detachment point, but it's also a strong point, and it's a strong point that we tend to not have our power in, right? We have our power in the intellect, we have our power in getting what we want and avoiding what we don't want. We have our power in being in a state of belief, in a state of thinking, in a state of story. So, a lot of people, if they were to come across this, they'll tuck tail. They'll turn, they will reject, they will run, they will avoid, they will go away from this facing point or this touching point of a fundamental question or a fundamental point. Where is your grasping? Where is your attachment? Where is your fixation right now? Because we have a proclivity towards thinking and the intellect, which is very much based on our privilege, right? So if we are a modern person, we're probably going to be quite a privileged person in that we have these conveniences and conveyances of getting what we want and being comfortable and avoiding uncomfortableness and kind of controlling our reality. So we're not necessarily so much in the grit of our body. We're not in the grit of we can't control the weather all the time, and there's bugs, and there are social systems and political systems that are directly weighing over us that we can't meaningfully interact with because we're not educated or we don't have. It's just it's a totally different world, totally not accessible for us, right? So what do? You farm, you spend time with your family, you enjoy the rain, you enjoy the sun, you enjoy walking around, you enjoy your community. Whatever power you have is just you use it. You're a practical person, a grounded person, right? For us now, we are all in the realm of the political elite, At least it appears that way, right? We are the voters. We are we are in positions of authority over our body and mind and over our environment that even the dukes of Canterbury wouldn't have been, right? The royalty of the Scottish royalty wouldn't have been in a position like we are in, right? And that's just in terms of comfort of the body and mind. And then you add on this extra layer of witchcraft and wizardry, right? We have these devices, we have these screens, these TVs, we have this kind of control over our audiovisual experiences. So we are easy to feel in this position of authority, and that position of authority tends to be detached from or not too much interested in the body or the physical state, but more interested in the story of the world, the royal controversies, the politics, the Donald Trump, the stock market, the finances. And most of the time, we don't even have a real direct route of engaging with these things, but we can consume, we can feel a sense of engaging with it, and it gives us this sense of meaning in our lives, right? Watching Fox News is meaningful. Watching CNN or MSNBC or taking a stance on Donald Trump feels to be meaningful, right? And so also taking a stance on, being a Christian or being an atheist or being a Muslim and then, debating about that feels meaningful. Whereas in the past, it was your practice, it was your life. You were a Muslim, you're living in the Islamic community, that's your life. You're a Christian, you're living in the Christian community, that's your life. And if war came, war was not pretty, wasn't intellectual, right? It's blood and guts. So because we have this proclivity towards the intellect, it's very vital, and this is the reason that many teachers are guiding us to find the breathing. Find the body being. Find the eyes seeing. Find the ears hearing. So that when we bring up this fundamental question, this fundamental point of what is your attachment point? What are you fixated on? What are you grasping onto? What are you trapped by? What are you stuck by? We don't just gallivant off into our thinking, into our intellectual interpretations. Right? We don't light the fuse of our thinking mind and blast off. We come home to the body and we look deeply. What is my connection point? What is my attachment point? What is my expectation? What is my story about what's happening right now? A fundamental question, a fundamental point to your intellect, to your storyboard, to, calling up the producer and the director and the costume designer and, saying, what's going on here? What are we doing next? No. But turning towards present moment experiencing. Turning the mind around towards this present moment experiencing, which is very much a stepping forth, but it's also a stepping back, and it's also a listening deeply. So that being in the present moment and being in our meditation is not a matter of some exercise or some practice or some kind of, oh, it's time to meditate, or, even worse, I've got to do my meditation so I can get to my high level, right? So I can get to be a sotapanna or get into the jhana. But our meditation, our stepping into present moment experiencing is an exfoliation of freedom. It is a recognition of our natural state. It is a coming home to the heart mind. Coming home to present moment breathing. This is a natural meditation. It's not contrived. It's not something, we go into the meditation hall, everybody sits down, you know, we we're bored and suffering for hours and hours and hours, and then, we feel relaxed a little bit. We come out on the other end. We have some concentration. We have some relaxation. We feel better than other people. Oh, I'm so, woke. I'm so based. No, it's not a story. It's not a past or future situation. It's not someone at some place at some time. It is none of that, neither the positive or the negative. It's a matter of birth and death. It's a matter of reality. But we don't need DMT, okay, to do this, to connect with this. You don't need to, find out how am I going to get the ingredients for DMT so I can, fix my life. This is it, right? This is reality. So what is your attachment point? What is your grasping point? Because that is exactly the detachment point. Exactly what traps you is what is there to free you. And in this way, it's all a matter of showing up, showing up, showing up. And at the beginning, when you practice like this, the ego still has a strong voice. The story about your progress and your success and your failure still has a very strong voice, still very influential. Okay? But over time, the successes don't matter. The failures don't matter. The difficulty doesn't matter. The easiness doesn't matter. Only continuing matters. Not just for oneself, but for all. Right? What's this modern spiritualist idea that we're supposed to be like hyper isolated meditating zombies? Right? We need to do our meditation and be as as isolated and enlightened as we can. Even most monks can't do this. Even most monks can't practice like that full time, to be isolated, to be in solitary retreat. But somehow the spiritual practice is this self-focused, oftentimes, endeavor to become more of like a better self or a more powerful self. Okay? The spiritual path is all about community. The more success that we get, the more freedom we get, the more benefit that we get, the more peace that we get, the more joy that we get, the more wholesome states of mind that we get, the more we need to find a way to share them out. Because when you find a way to share it out, that's what you get back. You get to be with those people, those fairies, those children that are offering you compassion and joy and freedom and peace, or those fellow practitioners that are offering you respect and acceptance and collaboration and their time and their presence without any wanting to get something from you or expecting something from you. But how do you get that? Well, you have to give it out. You have to share it out. So this is the path. This is the mission to go forward. The more profit you make, the more generous you need to be. The more wealthy you become, along the way, the more generous that you need to be. Otherwise, what's the point? Right? That really gets to the core of it. What's the point if it's just going to be about you? If it's just going to be about this isolated, selfish life? What's the point? That's not human. And beyond that, you'll develop a conniption. You'll develop a kind of a case or a tangle in your mind. This goes with spiritual wealth or meditation wealth as well as material wealth, right? You're locked into yourself. You've got this tangled up experience of profit. Now you're so egoic and you're so self-involved, and I'm this meditator, I'm this monk. Wow, look at me. I'm following all these rules. I'm so virtuous. I'm so meditative. I'm so wise. And look at these people. What's wrong with them? Well, what else is going to happen if you're not giving away when you get this wealth? If you're not sharing out when you get this progress, this success, you're going to get sick some way. Unless you really get it. And then all the more reason, you really get enlightened. You really get this natural mind, this selfless mind, right? Okay, share it out, offer it out. So there's a real major point here about how our spirituality, how our meditation, how our enlightenment journey is not about getting anything. And how fully can we enter into this space and this way of being of not getting anything, not gaining anything? And in that not getting anything, in that not gaining anything, also not constricting on oneself. There's an awareness of the breath, awareness of the body that's very important and helpful and nurturing, but also there's the releasing of the body, the widening out of the body, the brightening out of this heart mind, where it's not just constricted to, focusing on my breath. It's not about feeling some particular way. Just like how generosity is not about some particular result, not some particular kind of generosity. That I've got this special thing and I give it to this person and, I want them to use it or drink it or, show everyone that they got it from me. Well, you're ruining it. That's not what generosity is about. It's the offering, it's the giving away. Everyone is ready and willing to understand. That's called advertising. That's called Hollywood. Okay? Everybody's ready to understand. And we want to understand in the most seemingly perfect and ideal and interesting kind of way possible. Right? For some people, there's Deadpool. For some people, there's John Wick. For some people, there's Titanic. For some people, there's the Barbie movie. For some people, there's Oppenheimer. Everybody's ready to understand. They're just looking for their poison. But are you willing to not understand? Everybody's willing and ready to get it, looking for someone to give it to them, waiting to get it. Everybody's like that. But who's willing to not get anything? In seeing, not seeing anything. In hearing, not hearing anything. In thinking, not thinking anything. In breathing, not breathing anything. not drifting, not slouching, not slumping into anything, not sinking into anything. It's like seeing the brilliance of a diamond, an emerald, a ruby, a sapphire. You don't sleep into it. You don't get anxious about it. You don't try to squeeze it tightly. Just seeing it, just experiencing it. And actually, regardless of any you, it's there. It is shining brightly. The true nature is the true nature. The true nature of someone is not someone. The true nature of some place is not some place. The true nature of something is not something. Ever new, impermanent nature, ever fresh, present mind. So now our job as a meditator is to exfoliate this present moment experiencing, right? To have that joy and that preciousness of there's no better time to meditate than in the midst of meditation. There's no more precious a time to recognize the jewel in front of you than in the midst of recognizing it. And to exfoliate that and immerse in that and develop that relationship, that safety, that freedom, that brightness, that clearness. That essence. And instead of falling into this trap that we usually fall into of the story of our life and what does the intellect have to say and how do our words and phrases kind of calculate and digest and understand this situation, this life. Instead of falling back on that, enter into the present moment experiencing of the body, the richness of the body, the fullness of the body, the preciousness of the body, the truth of it. Bring the mind home to the body. Breathing and being with the body. Any moment of drifting or sinking or tension or intellect, coming home to the breathing in the body and breathing and being with. Not drifting up into the clouds, not drifting down into any state, but breathing and being with, brightly, wholeheartedly, the whole body right there. Watchful, watchful of the breath flowing in, how it feels, how the body feels, how the mind feels. Watchful of the breath flowing out, how the body feels, how the mind feels. Breathing, watching. Breathing, aware. when you follow closely like this, you may find certain things come up. Stay with the breath, stay with the anchor point, stay with the practice point. And offer out widely to whatever comes up that freedom, that ending, that releasing, that essence. Breathing and offering. Sinking is not sinking. Drifting is not drifting. Present moment breathing, being with. There's no failure here. There's no lateness here. There's no teacher, there's no student. Just this coming home, just this breath, just this natural mind. Just this ever new impermanent nature. Just this ever new beginning again mind. Don't limit yourself to a certain kind of person in a certain kind of situation with a certain kind of mind, a certain kind of way of dealing with things. Offer out the essence, offer out the mindfulness, offer out the recognition. Offer out non-attached breathing. Okay, at this time you can continue meditating, and also if anyone would like to share their experience or ask a question, that's also okay.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Bante. How are you all today?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to find. I am on a journey from where I'm at currently to a new place. Uh, my great vehicle here, my car. It's been an interesting thing. I've learned even more on this journey here, and seeing things in front of me unfold. It's beautiful. I stopped at a Love's gas station. Somebody asked if I could help them with their gasoline. I said yes. I didn't even think about it. Fill their bowl, basically. And I told him, well, he said thank you, and I told him that I would make off like a bandit with a good deed, so I should be thanking you. We both laughed about it, and he went off. It's interesting watching people drive around. I got pulled over for speeding too a little while ago, and all these different people out here, all these different forces around us are absolutely, and it's incredibly clear that each individual cell, each individual body and mind is a force to continue the in-breath and the out-breath of this organism in some way. You don't have to think about it. The elements that you aren't thinking. It's just through the gate.
Yes, Sonia?
I don't know if Itidis had a question because I didn't understand his question, but if he's finished, I can maybe say a thought. It's not a judgment because I don't like to have any judgment, but I have to be careful with words because sometimes it's difficult to say exactly what we think, more because I'm not English. But you know, sometimes you say no judgment, we are together, we all love each of us, but I don't feel that so much, you know. I love you all, that's for sure, even if I don't know you all, but we are together when you are there, Bhante. Most of the time we are not together, and even if I do ping to a meditation session, no one's come. Sometimes people just get in and out, and it's just like, so I think we could maybe do a little bit an effort to not be only mindful when Bhante you're online, but also with all of us, even if we don't know each of us, and encourage, because I feel that I have encouraged all the time I could when somebody gets a ping to go online to do a meditation, and I think it makes me feel good. I'm not doing that to be virtuous, but I feel a bit alone doing that, and so that's what just one thing, and I don't think nobody means to do not be generous on our other thing, but maybe we should do, even if Bhante is not online, try to be together sometimes. Just reach, I say a little cuckoo, a little hello, so it will feel more, because I really feel lots of love for everyone here when I meditate. I feel my heart, and so I just want to tell you that. So I'm not I'm not faking or anything. The other thing I want to say is that, yeah, you say, Bhante, not to judge and to be mindfulness. That's another thought. But it's so severe. When we are meditating, sometimes I feel bad if I have a little feeling of divine something. graceful something, and right away I hear you should not be in any kind of feeling, and you should not think about, you know what I mean, Bante? So I have a little bit of joy sometimes. I don't think it's my ego. I don't think I'm trying to at all go out from the rules, but I feel that sometimes my little girl is being killed on the moment by severe rules that maybe are not should not be the same as our living in a very difficult world with fighting, competition, and I'm sure you're living difficult thing, Bante, but everyday life is feeling like a fight. So if I have to be in this world and fighting, not I'm not fighting, but if I have to survive, and suddenly when I meditate with you guys and I have to be so severe, don't think of anything and not having a little bit of feeling of joy, just to be in my respiration the more neutral way, so I will be not involved with my ego. But I don't think it's my ego. I don't know if I'm clear. I'm sorry. Do you understand what I mean, Bante?
I listen with my whole heart to what you say, and I feel happy to hear you share.
Oh, thank you.
These are some good points, if I, step forward about it. And actually, it's a point that my teacher brought up earlier today as a part of this retreat. And it's a point that Itidas kind of brought up for me when he told, about his, his good deed that he was doing, is that we should be generous and we should get involved and we should use our success and our power to concern with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Okay, we should donate and volunteer and get involved according to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. This is where we have a safe zone. This is where we have a special power zone. This is where it is not just kind of, well, let's do it, let's kind of make it happen, but with the power of the monks and nuns and the supporters and the Buddhist teachings and the representation of the Buddha, the best kind of one of the best representations for enlightenment. Okay, this is really where we should concern our energy. This is where we should concern our volunteering and our donating and our getting involved. And I love this idea that we are going to develop this community to a much higher degree. I think that that's a really special idea, and as concerned with the Buddha and the Dhamma and the Sangha, it's completely realistic. It's completely reasonable. Concerned with, I'm this American guy who's a monk. We're a meditation community, and that's not quite going to do it for sure. That's it's not going to work out. But as it concerns with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, not just Western people, and not just people who join our calls, but the community of monks and nuns, the large compendium of the Buddhist teachings, okay, the real potentiality to enlighten, which is not just the life of a business person, but is also the life of a monk and a nun, the life of a meditation master, not just the life of working for yourself, but actually feeding the monks and the nuns, right? This is a kind of direct generosity that's going to, allow us to develop further. And it is going to take some fight. It is going to take some energy, but it's got to come up naturally. We can't control one another. And, we've just got to keep showing up and keep that, at least that's on my end, That's what I'm trying to do. Keep showing up and keep supporting, and keep giving because my full-time role as a monk, which is not something that you all can do, is to do good deeds, right? And sure, I have selfishness, or I get into, I watch some YouTube or watch some TikTok, or things come up, right? But that's not my my life. That's something that comes up, and that over time, as I am being supported and concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, this becomes less and less, right? So that full time I am meditating, doing good deeds, solving problems, um, not just for myself, but for the others as well, for all. And I like to see this community grow and develop. And I know that if we continue to be healthy and keep practicing and keep gathering like this, then it will develop naturally. Um, and we have already, there are a lot of resources that are available. As I've said, the organization that I'm a part of, and that regardless of what we do, we are also under the umbrella of that organization, right? Under the umbrella of my master, we have centers to stay at. We have a beautiful, wonderful retreat center in southern Italy that, at least now, we could certainly do a retreat there. And you could certainly go and volunteer there or live there. And in Myanmar, we have many centers. In Thailand, we have many centers. And, you going there and being fed and housed and supported, and hopefully you going there as well to support, is completely real and ready, right at the snap of a finger. So, there is that sense of depth, and I think that's why people continue to show up, and why our community does, like as you described, Sonia, have this love and this feeling of care for one another. And I for one look forward to that developing and growing, but it's going to take time. It's going to take us to keep showing up in the ways that we can. So recently, just to call some people out, Nicole did a redesign for the website, which is very, lovely and nice. And that was their initiative to do that. And we have, I think it's Mike. Mike DM's Welcome, I think is the right person, who is kind of, done a lot of the back end work for the website. And, we've thought about and we've talked about creating this organization as a nonprofit, so that maybe we have some wealthy people in our community who want to, they have to donate for their taxes and things like that. They can donate to a board of directors, not me directly, but a board of directors of a nonprofit, where we then consider, what are we going to do, how are we going to move forward. But a lot of entering into this realm of practice is that it's not the self-help book by the toilet. It's not, let's come together for a guided meditation with Bhante. It's, we're kind of taking the responsibility of being a full-time, changing our life, being a meditator, being a yogi, being a part of a board of a spiritual organization that is busy in doing good deeds and doing charity work and doing, interesting things like that. But that's a lot of responsibility. Even though we do have invested parties and skillful people, it's still a lot of responsibility. So it's going to take time, and it's something that's going to have to come up naturally and organically. So that's just from my side. That's my understanding about it. But Sonia, I'm doing my very best to make these guided meditations even better, and to
But
improve.
thank you so much. They are very, very, very and joyful and feeling so good, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. So those, those ideas that I just brought up, like making our group to be a nonprofit and all that, is very important to me, and it's very close to my heart. But as a monk, I have to take care of my side of things, and that's not to, um, like corral people into doing that. So it's going to take time and happen according to nature. Yeah. Or not. That's also okay. A lot of people are getting benefit from our practices already. Okay, anyone else like to ask a question or share their experience? Anyone else?
Yes, actually, I wanted to ask, since most of the time I'm free Thursday and Friday, if I could make maybe, with the help of the caretakers, organize a short meditation session and sutta studying session, by reading a sutta with several translations and, discuss it together, if of course others agree.
Yeah, that kind of thing is really encouraged and is really okay to do that. And it's a great way to volunteer in the community. It's something where it really has to be an act of generosity. Otherwise, you will be disappointed or overwhelmed, right? So on one side, Sonia was bringing up, few people are joining, and it's kind of, where is everybody? Maybe why can't we meet a little bit more people? But the other, or people are coming in and going out. But the other side of that is that you have, 25 people or 20 people in a group call, and you're the main facilitator, and it can be a lot. And you've got people coming in and going out, and, the person who doesn't really know about the community who's asking questions, and you're trying to manage it. And there's the tech side and the social side and the Dhamma side. So it really has to be kind of just the generosity and the offering, and then you manage it. But it's great if you
Yep.
want to do that. That's really we'll help you set that up for sure.
Yeah, thanks.
I actually have a quick question.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Sri Lanka? And if so, how is it? I have a friend there that I'm planning on visiting.
Sri Lanka is a Buddhist society. So I haven't been to Sri Lanka, but I've been to the other Buddhist societies such as Thailand and Myanmar, and different areas in India are very Buddhist as well. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting. It's a place where there are many monks, and the monks are like royal priests. And we don't. That doesn't even mean anything for what in the Western context. The kind of respect that people show the monks and the way that they treat them and the way that they interact with them. Um, there is no parallel for that in a Western society, in Canadian society or American society. There's nothing there. So until you go over there and experience it, you won't. It's very difficult to explain it to you, right? It's like what's interacting with a royal priest. Um, and Sri Lanka, they're really strong about respecting their monks. So when I stayed at a Sri Lankan Buddhist temple in nearby Washington D.C., when the when the Sri Lankan people would come to visit the temple and see me for the first time because I was staying there, they and this they do for all the monks. They get down to they put their head down to the ground and they touch the monk's feet. They even put their head on the monk's feet. Um, and that kind of attitude or that kind of way of being is quite normal. They'll wash the monks' feet when they arrive at their house because they were invited for like a lunch donation or something. So it's a very deep reverence that they have for the Buddhist monks, and the Buddhist monks are the representatives of the Buddhist teachings, enlightenment, virtue, meditation. That's one of the things that we can also kind of do in the future. So certainly as we can organize like a meditation retreat, but we could also organize a pilgrimage, some kind of pilgrimage to India or to Sri Lanka. That's one of the things that people tend to do with the monk that they are following or who they are concerned with, involved with. So we can see what will happen. Good luck in Sri Lanka.
Thank you. And that's a brilliant idea. I can tell you for certain that I could tell you based off the word of my friend that they survive off of tourism. So even as a non-monk, they would have a lot of respect for you showing up and experiencing their culture, from what he's told me. So, thank you.
Nalabudaya, may I ask a question?
Okay, Matthew.
Yeah, again, Nalabudaya, everyone, and I wanted to know your opinion on chanting paritas without the invitation and setting the devas off. Like, is it somehow prohibited or not prohibited in Theravada tradition to basically do the paritas without chanting devas? And also, I wanted to know you if, like, I substitute the invitation to devas with the invitation to Buddhas, to 27 past Buddhas. What do you think about it? Thank you.
I don't think much about it. If you really want to get a direct course on this, find a Sri Lankan temple near you. Find a Sri Lankan vihara, and otherwise, prepare to go to Sri Lanka because they love this stuff. I'm more non-sectarian Buddhist monk, so I'm not heavily involved in this approach of practice. Try, experiment, right? Use what you have and experiment with it and see how it feels and put your heart, mind into it. But don't be too much attached to the forms or the appearances. Those forms are to be used only, right? Experienced only. So put them to use and see what the effect of that is. Try different ways, different approaches, and certainly you should try to find some Buddhist monks in your area, some Sri Lankan, because you seem to have an affinity for this way of practice, right? To adopt these cultural norms and these cultural practices, or these practices that are very emphasized in cultural Buddhism. So try to get to a temple, get to a group, and maybe start looking into a residency period as well. So doing a period of residency at a Buddhist monastery or temple.
Oh, okay. It's just I live in a country where like Theravada tradition is not really
What country do
widespread.
you
Like,
live in?
I don't really want to get into it because
Well,
it might be problematic for me. So, like, I don't want to put myself in danger, right? So, yeah, just also you're recording, right? So that's
sure,
not going to
sure.
be the best.
Sure. So I mean, you can DM me, you can send me a private message with that information, but you can go to Google Maps and you can search for Buddhist temple near me. There's also a website called BuddhaNet where you can put in your country, your state, what have you, and you can look for Theravada temples in your area nearby you. So if you send me where you're at, I'll take a look and I'll see if there's some place near you that I can recommend. But how old are you?
25.
Okay, you're way past young. 25, you're, save up some money and get ready to go to Sri Lanka, get ready to go to the Buddhist society and to be with the monks. If you have that much interest in it, I'd recommend you do that for sure.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
All right.
Could I ask something, perhaps?
So open book.
How does one reconcile? Because I find this happens to me a fair amount. You're trying to do a good deed and help someone, but you get hurt in the process repeatedly. I don't know what to do or what is the moral thing to do in those situations when I start to be broken down by my efforts to help. I would appreciate guidance.
Yeah, so become skillful to abandon people. Become skillful to abandon your life and abandon your home and abandon your society and abandon your past and abandon your future, because guess what? At a moment's notice, your roof is going to abandon the consideration for you and it's going to fall in, and there you are. Right? That's life. The foundation of this building or the crust of the earth is going to abandon its consideration for us. It's going to shake and everything falls apart. In terms of helping people, like you said, I would say prioritize generosity, so that help is an act of generosity. If you take something that you think is going to be helpful, which is something that's precious to you, and you kind of put it out there towards someone or towards some environment or thing, and your hand catches on fire, you pull your hand back and you go heal, go take care of yourself. And then if you still want to be generous in that direction, don't put your hand in there. Take the precious thing and throw it from a distance. Right? It's like we see a rabid dog or we see a dangerous animal. It doesn't mean we don't want to feed it or be sweet to it, right? But it's dangerous. It's a dangerous situation. It's a dangerous place. So you throw the food over the fence. Generosity also needs to have this energy of detachment, of giving away, of offering out. The expectation is there, but it's not to be emphasized. And the moment that you find you're kind of getting tangled up in this interpersonal situation, you need to detach. You need to abandon that person, abandon that situation. But abandoning is not rejection, right? Abandoning is not rejection. So we can abandon someone and still be generous to them, still offer our consideration for them. But we're not self-identifying. We're not identifying with the interaction between us and them anymore. And it's important that we can do that. Most people are to be abandoned. Most situations are to be abandoned. Most experiences are to be abandoned. The experiences that are not to be abandoned, like in meditation or something like that, they come about naturally. And there's nothing you can do to interfere with them. It's just, it goes right to your heart mind. It's like a string that's played just right and it resonates. And there's no secondary thinking. No one can interrupt you. No one can involve with you at that time, at that moment. So those kinds of things, we don't need to concern about abandoning them, because they have, in the essence of them is abandonment. In the essence of them is truth. It's a natural situation. So you don't need to concern about abandoning it, because it's just according to nature. But once we start to get contrived, once we start grasping, once we start rejecting, we need to keep up that mindset of to abandon, to give away, to pour water. Okay? And if you want to continue and you want to go further, you need to be ready to abandon, right? I mean, are you ready? Are you willing to take a vacation? I hope that most of you are willing to take a vacation. I mean, I don't know what 2023 has come to. Even my mom was a single mother, and she didn't make all that much money. She had 2 kids, and she took us on a vacation, right? So if you have that mindset to take a vacation, you should also have the capacity and the mindset to abandon your life and change your life quite drastically. Maybe it's just for a short period of time, but actually life is just a short period of time. Okay, I hope that's helpful, Hoshi.
Very. Thank you.
Also, another piece of advice by me, since I kind of struggle with something similar, kind of you try to be very kind to people, giving out, good thoughts about them. Then people don't just, they don't respond, and then you feel kind of bad. I think the best way kind of to fix that, it's at least for me, it's a bit of a strange method. Just say, yeah, they are a Buddha, and just pass them by. I kind of do it like that. Hoping that they really have that good in that good in them, and one day they're all, by continuing to say hi to them, one day they'll maybe say hi to you. Maybe it could be years, it could be a long time, but it will happen. I kind of find that to be the best way to fix it.
I'll get you on that too. The reason I'm moving, one of the many reasons I'm moving, my neighbor who I've been friends with for some time began harassing me when I realized that I was feeding into his alcoholism, and I, stopped drinking with him because I didn't want to drink in the first place, but I'd feel wrong to not. And then, more and more I realized, no, this is not an invitation for me to come enjoy his company. This is an invitation for him to keep drinking. It's really upsetting, honestly. And I told him I can't really hang out with you anymore, or else we're just going to start drinking. And it got him very upset. And he did a lot of things that were not right in retaliation. I forgave him for that, but he, it's not right to put nail boards behind people's cars, for example. But every time he's done anything, it was because he was not in the right mind. He didn't have the right intention. And I realized, I'm definitely not helping this guy out at all, like I thought I was. Getting in company, talking to him, even though, yeah, sometimes we make mistakes, I think, and you just have to move on.
Yeah. It's a good lesson. Sometimes you get in a car accident and you've got to move on. Serious stuff happens. You got to move on. So the more we can step into and dive into moving on with a healthy and wealthy body and mind, the more we are going to be ready to deal with the situations that come up. Okay, anyone else have a question or want to share? Any monastic focused temple is not going to be specifically secular because it is focused on a social dynamic of lay people or people who are business people, people who have a worldly life, a normal life, who are money makers, using their finances to support renunciates, to support home leavers, to support monks. So this is not going to be secular from a Western perspective because there's no such thing as this. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. Why would I support someone because they're a meditator or a monk, let alone a monk, whatever that is? So if you go to a Buddhist temple or to a monastery with monks, it's not going to be secular in nature. There may very well be a extremely secular minded monk there or teacher there. Even some of the people there may be very secular minded, but it's going to be a largely cultural tradition that is involved in social dynamics and cultural dynamics that are antithetical to what you would consider to be secular, because we don't have those ways of being in England or America. It's not something we have a background with. But going to a Buddhist temple or going to a meditation center is really for you to explore, right? It's for you to have an experience. It's for you to step into the unknown and see what's out there. We should have our mind to be sharp, bright, clear, present moment aware, refreshing and restarting. So we're not easily tricked. We're not easily sold on things. Now, we have to be tricked and kind of taken advantage of before we can say, like, oh, that's a failure point. That's a mistake point. I need to be even more careful with this, right? Like recently I went to a tea shop and I got a teapot, and I was so excited by all the different teapots at the tea shop that I was possibly swindled a little bit. It's not completely for sure, but and I consider myself, people aren't going to trick me. I'm going to be very, careful in what I do. But it seemed like for this, maybe I got bamboozled a little bit. So that's how you learn. The next time that you need a teapot, a clay teapot, I'll be ready. I'll really be ready. I thought I was ready before, but you're not really ready until you fail. So you might feel, oh, I'm really ready to go into this meditation center and have like a super clear mind and not get, tangled up in anything that I don't really feel comfortable with. But then you go there and 3 months later you come out without eyebrows and without hair and wearing a orange robe. Right? That's a bit of an exaggeration, but you say, oh, that's a learning experience. For me, it was like 2 weeks with the Hare Krishnas. So we live and we learn, and that those failure points we don't get to unless we explore, unless we put ourselves out there, unless we make use of the opportunities that are available to us. In the TikTok age or in the YouTube age, in the internet age, we think that everything's supposed to be like ideally presented to us. Like we're supposed to be able to find the most direct and clear and like manageable resource, and we're going to click purchase and it's going to be ours. Right? And if it's not that, if it's not perfect, if it's not ideal, well, I'll just look online. I'll get it online, or I'll wait, or I'll go to another place. But life isn't actually like that. This is the community we've got. Maybe I'm not a perfect monk. Maybe Anastasia's not the perfect Anastasia, and Kevin's not the perfect Kevin, and Nicole's not the perfect Nicole. Well, this is the Nicole we've got. This is the Anastasia we've got. This is going to have to do. You spend your whole life looking for the perfect Anastasia. I like the Anastasia that we've got. I like the Nicole that we've got, the Sonia that we've got. But if you're always looking for that perfect thing, then you're not going to make use of what is available to you. And this definitely goes to those mental states that we get into, right? Like you feel anxious one day, you start to feel depressed one day, you start to feel that, um, that state comes into you and you feel like you can't act, you feel like you can't do anything. Well, if you can't use that depression, if you can't use that state to at least a little bit, at least to be careful, at least to offer that kindness to yourself, then what are you waiting for? Right? A week, a month, a year? And if we can start to practice like this with our mindfulness and detachment, with our willingness to act, with our willingness to make use of the opportunity of sleepiness, make use of the opportunity of the the king engine starts roaring. The drums of liberation start roaring. Our anxiety starts roaring, right? You got to make use of that so that that anxiety attack, so that that weakness, that fear becomes the king engine, the queen engine, the non-binary emporial leader engine. Okay? It becomes the drums of liberation. That heartbeat, that anxiety, that depression, it becomes our acting point. What's available, what's useful for us. What's in front of us, that's what we can use. So don't wait. Try it out. Be ready to fail. Be ready to make an ass of yourself, and then you'll be less of an ass the next time, right? That's the wonderfulness of living this life mindfully and with a good intention, right? Not just for selfishness, but to help, to bring benefit, to use what we have for all. Fail 7 times, stand up 8. Okay, my beloved Sangha, so let's share our merit. Merit is a simple concept. I know we don't have the background of it. If you do good, you feel good. If you do a lot of good deeds, you get a lot of good luck. Just in this, at least I've noticed for myself, I'll have a period of time where I'm kind of staying neutral, or I'm doing a little bit of good, and life's boring and things are just kind of going fine, but there's no major difficulties that come up, right? But then I'll have that tough night. I'll break my own heart, or I'll get into an argument. I'll mess myself up somehow. And somehow that next day, who comes knocking? Karma comes knocking, right? We need you out here right now. We're calling you out now. Why didn't you call me out yesterday? Why are you calling me out now? Now I really am tired. I need to rest. I've broken my heart, right? But that's when it calls you out. So when you do good deeds, when you practice generosity, you make merit. When you listen to the Dhamma, when we practice meditation together, when we concern ourselves with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we make a lot of merit. Everyone here has made a lot of merit, so let's dedicate that merit together. You can all bring your hands together like me and repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now be dedicated and shared out to all sentient beings. May all the merits that we have done till now be dedicated and shared out to all sentient beings. May all the merits that we have done till now be dedicated and shared out to all sentient beings. May all sentient beings rejoice and share in our merits. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Thank you, dear friends. See you soon.
Good night, everybody. Goodbye.